Wrestling is a game of superlatives, defined by the strongest, the fastest, or the most technically gifted. We crave the giants who look like they were built in a lab, or the high flyers who seem to defy the law of physics. But what if the most dangerous man in the room wasn't the biggest, but the one who simply knew exactly when to move? Then came the ultimate opportunist.
You think you know me?
If you look at the greatest ever to step inside that ring, they usually have a signature physical trait. Brock Lesnar has that raw, terrifying power. Bret Hart had that clinical, technical precision. Rey Mysterio has an agility that feels like it came straight out of a Tekken game. But Adam Edge Copeland possessed something much, much more subtle, and in many ways a lot more lethal. He mastered the clock. Edge mastered timing, the most underrated weapon in wrestling. Most performers think about what they're doing. They focus on the move, the spot, the catchphrase. Edge focused on when he was doing it. He understood that a spear is just a tackle unless it happens at the exact moment an opponent turns their head. He understood that a heel turn is just a change of clothes unless it happens at the exact moment the fans are ready to erupt. This wasn't about being a mastermind in some fictional over-the-top way. It was about a grounded, professional understanding of rhythm. He knew how to wait, he knew when to strike, he turned the concept of opportunity into a science. And in doing so, he became the most efficient winner that the modern era has ever seen. See, in the late 90s, the tag team division was a crowded house. You had the Dudley Boys bringing the ECW grit, the Hardy Boys bringing the high-flying North Carolina daredevilry. Edge and Christian were two kids from Ontario who could have easily been lost in the shuffle of the Attitude Era's chaos. They weren't as extreme as the Dudleys, and they weren't as cool as the Hardys. They had to find a different way to stand out, and they found it in the timing of their risks. During the TLC era, Edge realized that if he wanted to reach the next level, he had to trade pieces of his future for the audience's respect. But unlike some wrestlers who just threw their bodies at the ground for the sake of a holy shit chant, Edge's risks were calculated. Look at the spear on Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania X7. That wasn't a crazy stunt, it was a perfectly timed intersection of two bodies moving at different speeds. 20 feet in the air, if he's half a second late, they both miss the landing. If he's half a second early, the impact is completely lost. By hitting the move at the exact precise moment, he didn't just win a match, he created a permanent image in the minds of the fans. He understood that in a ladder match, the winner isn't the one who climbs the fastest, but the one who knows when the hero is at their most vulnerable. And then the invention of the weight, the 280 days of pressure, the defining moment of his career, and perhaps the most important moment in the history of how modern wrestling is being booked today, was the invention of the Money in the Bank cash-in. When Edge first won that briefcase at WrestleMania 21, the rules hadn't been written yet. Most wrestlers would have cashed it in within the week to get a quick pop. But Edge understood the power of weight. He carried that briefcase for 280 days. He let the fans forget about it, then remember it, then grow anxious about it. He used a clock to build a layer of tension that had never ever existed in a title picture before. The timing of actual cash-in at New Year's Revolution 2006 remains a masterclass in professional execution. John Cena had just survived a brutal Elimination Chamber match. He was covered in blood, exhausted, and at his absolute lowest point. The hero had won the battle. The credits were practically rolling. And then the music hit.
He got him! My God, what has happened here tonight?
Edge didn't just win the WWE Championship that night. He revolutionized the way we view the WWE title transitions. He proved the most dangerous person on the roster isn't the one who can beat the champion at their best, but the one who is still awake when the champion is at their worst. That wasn't luck. It was the result of a man who spent 10 months studying the rhythm of the main event scene, waiting for the exact second when the Shield was dropped. And by the way, coming off of kayfabe, Edge was the one who actually pitched it to Vince McMahon to cash it in this way. Vince wanted a proper announced cash-in like the one Cena had in 2013 or 2012, sorry. But Edge was the one who told Vince that we could do something like that. Because Edge was the realest one. He wasn't playing a gimmick. He was Edge himself. And now let's look at the data which backs up this whole timing argument. That office in Connecticut didn't trust Edge with 31 goddamn championships because he was a mystical figure. They trusted him because his timing was reliable. He was the most efficient safety net in the history of the company. 11 world championships. What's striking is the variety of these reigns. Some were long, some were opportunistic and lasted only weeks. He was the perfect transitional champion because his character was built to win at any time. He main evented WrestleMania 24 and WrestleMania 37. To stay in that upper echelon timing for 13 years, even though I know he had neck surgery, but still. Between 2005 and 2011, Edge was consistently in the top 3 for minutes worked on television. He was the guy who you put in a 15-minute match to lead a rookie through a main event, or the guy you put in a segment to ensure the show went off the air the exact second it was supposed to. He wasn't a utility player because he was average. He was a utility player because he was the only one who could manage the timing of the entire show. If something went long, Edge could shave off 30 seconds from a promo without losing the emotional beat. If a match went short, he knew how to stretch the drama of a headlock to fill the gap. He was a professional in an industry that often thrives on chaos. See, every legendary heel turn requires a catalyst, but Edge's transition into the rated R superstar required a level of intestinal fortitude that most people simply do not have. In 2005, the real-life drama involving Matt Hardy and Lita leaking onto the internet. It was a messy personal scandal that threatened to derail everyone involved. Matt Hardy was fired, Lita was booed out of the arena every single night. Edge was the man in the middle. Most people in that position would have tried to go quiet. They would have tried to apologize or wait for the heat to die down. Edge did the exact opposite. He timed his heel turn to perfectly coincide with the peak of fans' genuine, real-world anger. He didn't just ignore the scandal, he weaponized it. He understood that the audience's bullshit detector was off the charts. They knew the truth, so he gave them a version of the truth that they could hate. By leaning into his rated R persona at the exact moment, he took a career-ending controversy and turned it into a decade of main event money. That understood that you can't fight the tide, but if you time your move right, you can ride it. This was the moment he stopped being a tag team guy and became the most hated man in America. If you want to see how timing worked on a technical level, you have to watch the 2008 feud between Edge and The Undertaker. Specifically, their match at WrestleMania 24. The Undertaker is the phenom. He is the supernatural force who at that time was undefeated at the biggest show of the year. Most wrestlers who faced Taker tried to match his epic energy. They tried to outpower him or outspook him. Edge treated him like a logic puzzle. Throughout the match, Edge countered every signature move, not with a display of strength, but with a display of anticipation. He didn't just avoid the chokeslam, he timed his descent to land on his feet. He didn't just run from the tombstone, he knew the exact cadence of Taker's setup and slipped out at the last possible second. He made the audience believe for the first time in years that the streak might actually end. He didn't do it by being better than Taker, he did it by being smarter than the clock itself. He was the sniper waiting for the giant to blink. Even in his loss that night, he elevated his status because he proved that he could control the pace of the match against the most respected figure in the locker room. And by the way, Vince McMahon actually wanted Edge to break Undertaker's streak that night. Edge, being the GOAT that he is, said no. Taker's streak deserves to live on. Fuck you, Brock Lesnar. And then came 2011. The clock stopped.
Because the MRI showed that I have to retire.
Edge's retirement wasn't a work, and it wasn't a choice. It was a medical necessity. For 9 years, the ultimate opportunist had to watch the business from the sidelines. I remember in 2011, I was 8 years old? My brother came up to me. We were watching Edge retiring. We were watching Edge make one final entrance after WrestleMania 27 on SmackDown. I had tears in my eyes, and my brother was teasing me, who's going to be your favorite from now on? And I genuinely had no idea. Because to me, Edge was something different. He was something special. We all have that one guy that we grew up with. To me, Edge was the starting of it. He made me believe that with your brain, with working through opportunities, with pure charisma, you can outwork, outsmart, and outhustle everybody. But timing has a funny way of coming full circle. In 2020, the landscape of wrestling had changed. The new era was in full swing, and the fans were beginning to feel a sense of detachment from the hyper-produced corporate product. They were hungry for something that felt real. They were hungry for a soul. I remember me and my friend, we came back from school, 2020 January. We came to my house. Royal Rumble had already gone by, and then we finally got home. We put on the Royal Rumble. We watched the men's Royal Rumble match, and then the music hit. Edge came out, and for the first time, both of us didn't have anything to scream about. We were just frozen. We were looking at the television. We were contemplating what exactly happened. For a good 10 minutes, we didn't realize that our childhood hero was coming back from a neck fusion surgery. We didn't realize that Edge is finally in an actual match. And the next 24 hours, all we did was replay that clip over and over and over again until it sounded like a goddamn alarm clock. That is how special Edge was to us. And the timing of Edge's return at the Royal Rumble wasn't just about a surprise pop. It was about the emotional readiness of the audience. You think you know him, but we had forgotten what it felt like to see a man truly, actually, genuinely be in love with that ring. When he hit that ring with his eyes wide and gray hair flying, he wasn't just a returning legend. He was the bridge to that lost era of intensity. He used those final years of his second life to prove that timing hadn't rusted. He worked with programs with Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, showing that he could still dictate the rhythm of a story better than guys 10 years younger than him. He wasn't there to take a victory lap. He was there to show a new era exactly how to master a moment. We can call Edge a chameleon, a safety net, a utility player, but the truth is even simpler. He was the only man on the roster who could be trusted with any timing. If you needed a 30-minute epic to headline a stadium show, he had the pacing. If you needed a 3-minute comedy segment to transition between two serious matches, he had the comedic timing. If you needed to make a new heel by having them beat a legend, Edge knew exactly how to time his defeat to give them maximum amount of rub. He didn't need to be protected by the office. He didn't need a winning streak or a mask or a supernatural gimmick. He was protected by his own competence. He understood that in a world of giants, the person who controls the time controls the game. What made Edge so special wasn't that he was the most of anything. He wasn't the most athletic, the most powerful, but he was the most precise. He mastered the geography of the ring and the psychology of the audience. He didn't just play a character, he lived the goddamn industry. He wasn't the ultimate opportunist because he knew that in wrestling, the most powerful weapon isn't a finishing move. It's the belief that you can take anything you want, as long as you're brave enough to wait for the exact second the window opens. This has been Heel Heat with Adeen, because sometimes legends don't need a pedestal. All they need is a table, a ladder, a chair, and the perfect moment to strike.